Hi everybody, welcome to the beach live. It's a little bit later, but that's okay because we have like a nice place that the sun is right now, and it'll be setting in a little bit. I'm in a new location. You can see beautiful Diamond Head behind me. I love it. I wasn't really sure if I was going to record it live today. Initially, I wanted to, but then I kind of had some work come in, and I had to do that. Since this one is kind of like my laid-back beach, it's not really scheduled. I just kind of hop on sometime Fridays, but I do always save this, and then I'll upload it later. So whenever I hop on, you'll be able to know when I'm here, and you'll be able to see the replay, essentially. So how was everybody's week? How are you doing? How are you handling and dealing with everything that has to do with Mercury retrograde? Are you retrograding with it? Has it retrograded you? What has thrown you a bit of a loop at this time? Or what are you revisiting from, a week ago or 2 weeks ago? So those kinds of things are coming up. I kind of told myself, I was looking at the latter part of this year in terms of the astrology, and I usually make kind of a big deal about Mercury retrogrades because honestly, they tend to hit me pretty hard. But when I was looking at Venus retrograding, which is happening December, Venus in Capricorn will be retrograde, and just it's activating that Saturn-Uranus transit. Mars, I believe, is in Scorpio at that time. It's really going to be pretty intense, and I just kind of said, with this particular retrograde, I'm not going to sweat the small stuff. I just am going to roll with it, and whatever happens, happens. And I'm sure that I am able to handle it in a positive way, and I will put a lot more energy into that Venus retrograde that's happening in winter time. Because that's going to be a little bit of a doozy, just because it's just Venus retrograde. And I saw this really funny meme earlier this week, and it was like astrologers during Mercury retrograde, and they were all like relaxing or whatever, like who cares, the world is burning. And then it's like astrologers during Mars and Venus retrograde, and it was like SpongeBob's eyes, and they were like bloodshot red, and they were like I feel like that is actually the truth. So sometimes like you'll be in a situation that you think is like, oh, this is not the ideal situation, this is kind of gnarly, it doesn't feel good, but then you realize like on the horizon is a larger challenge. Like you just climbed over this little hill, and now you have the mountain that you have to climb up and get to the other side. And then you're like, I should actually conserve my energy for the where the trip is going to be the most rough. And I think that's just important in terms of just modulating energy in general. Like when we have a lot of like pitfalls and a lot of ups and downs that we're going through, but some of them are kind of surface ones, and the other ones we know we're going to really have to bring our A game. It's going to take a lot of energy. It's going to be exhausting, and it might be a bit frustrating. That's where we target it. So one of the things that I try not to do in terms of like just with dealing with challenging times is to not get really stressed out and really strung out over the things that are a little bit basic that I can handle, confidently. And I actually don't have a tendency during those times to lean on people for the easier stuff. Now, as I've gotten older and as I've been able to clear a lot more off my plate, and as things are less traumatic, I think when you're younger, you're just going through the motions and you're not as intentional about your life. So I think sometimes you can just hit some things that are just whoa, and they really rock you. But as you get older and you get more knowledgeable, and then you're using more of your intuition and you're making much better choices, so you're kind of stepping into situations that are a little bit more ideal. You don't have to really like fall apart when things happen, and the small things I can kind of handle on my own. And so therefore, when I have the bigger things that I really need some support with, I can then reach out and say, hey, to the community, to family, to friends, and say, hey, I need some cheerleading. I need to, you to really big me up at this time. I just need some support, because I feel like if I go to people all the time asking for support over small things that don't mean anything, then that is when the issues can happen. And we got a little is playing in the background, but I'm also going to talk over that because it's a video that's going to be up on YouTube and Instagram. And sometimes it's interesting. I had a video where I was somewhere and there was just music that was playing in the background, and yeah, I totally got tagged for that music and got the video withdrawn. And it wasn't even music that I put on the video, it was just music that somebody had playing in the background. So social media, it's like that. But so yeah, so back to what I was saying, definitely leaning on people when I need to, and not kind of using that energy when I don't, because there are some things that we do have to kind of handle on our own. We don't always need to ask for assistance and support. Sometimes, a lot of times, what can happen too, which happens to me, and it happens to me a lot, and I want to say it happens to me a lot when it comes to like paperwork and business stuff, things that take like multiple steps. Sometimes I'm just like, oh my gosh, I have to do that thing, and I have to do this, and then I have to call here, and then I have to do this, and whenever I have like a project that takes many different, hey, Earth Lover 808, thanks for joining. We're just talking about projects and difficulties and when to call on your angels when you need to in terms of like your support team. And I was just saying that like when I have easier tasks, or when I have tasks or projects that have multiple different layers, I get really flustered about it sometimes, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then when I actually just sit down and I do it, I realize, wow, this is a whole lot easier than what I thought it was going to be. It actually didn't take as much time. A lot of times I'll worry about how much time something will take, and that sometimes causes procrastination. So during the Mercury retrograde period, which is what we're in right now, there is a benefit. Oh, the wind feels so good. And I think there was just did you see that? Yeah, it's like a little boat. I'm in a boat harbor right now, so you can see the boats going back and forth. So there is a benefit to just like getting stuff done and not stressing out about it, because when you stress out about it, all you do is just take up more time when you could have just like focused on the thing that you were doing and got that done and then moved on to something else. So how are you doing today, Earth Lover? How was your week? Did you have like a synchronistic week? Did you have a challenging week? I was just asking everybody how they were doing and how their week was. My week, for the most part, I want to say was good. Like for the first week of a Mercury retrograde, I'm knocking on wood. Where's the there's a coconut, there's a palm tree. I'm knocking on the palm tree, right? Yeah, it was pretty smooth, pretty easy. It wasn't it wasn't too discombobulated. I just really try to be very intentional about how I use my time when we're going through transits, like a lot of retrograde transits, or we're just going, if I have just like weird transits happening, I do believe in remediating the chart, which essentially means like you're born with planets being in a certain place, right? And that those can be indicators on how things will be, or the flow of things in your life sometimes. Sometimes we don't, as astrologers, know exactly how it's going to hit. I always joke and say, and I heard this from another astrologer, I just forgot who the astrologer was, but it's like, we don't know if you're going to, like scrape your finger or lose your finger or burn your finger, but we know something's going to happen with your finger, and so there's that kind of energy that comes with that. So if I know that something really tough is coming up and it just looks not so good, I will try to, really call on the opposite energy, or call on that energy, depends on really what it is, and just try to honor what the time will be in my own way, so that it doesn't like affect me directly in a way that I don't have as much control over. Now, at the end of the day, I don't necessarily believe we have as much control as a lot of people do. I believe we control a lot of things in our life, and I think there's a lot of things that we don't control at all. And I think we dance in between those two spaces. So if I know that I'm hitting a square or an opposition that's just going to be a little rough, I'll say, okay, well, what are some of the productive things that I can do with this particular transit, like a retrograde, right? I know that Mercury is retrograding right now. So what are some of the things that I can do? Oh yeah, that's right. I can redo, one of the things I'm going to do is redo my apothecary. One other thing that I'm going to do is get my whole system. I have some paperwork system that I need to get, organized and put together. That's another thing that I can do. I want to kind of redo my office space and buy some new things for that. So that's another thing. So they're all really constructive things that have to do with like communication and like work and all of those things, which are really good to do during the retrograde. I already had a lot of projects, as I'm a project-oriented person, so I always have a lot of things that I'm cooking and that I've done a lot of research on. So this is the time now for these 3 weeks to dig into that. I'm not really doing anything new. I'm not like, oh, let me just do this brand new thing. I'm not doing that at all. Everything that I'm implementing, or even things that I'm starting, because it doesn't mean that I'm not starting anything. for example, I just opened up a new clubhouse. Well, it's not a new room, but it is a new room essentially. But it's under the Wild Wahine, which is my club where we're talking about herbalism. And so that started this Thursday, and we're doing it every other Thursday. But we had been talking about this for weeks, and we had organized it, and we put it all in place, and then we just launched it. And I felt really comfortable launching it during the retrograde because we did a lot of the work before. So all this is doing is just getting it up and going, and it worked out really well, and it was really beautiful. And I had so much fun talking about mint. And the next one we have is not going to be next Thursday, but the following Thursday we'll be talking about ginger. So that's awesome. So those are the kinds of things. So it doesn't mean that you can't start things or launch your website or anything. It just means, like, have you been working on those things before? And if you were working on them before, then now is a really good time to, implement them, or just to edit things. It's a great time for that, or just to have conversations of clarity around what you're doing and how you're doing it, conversations of clarity around people and your relationships and all of that. So those things are important. So let's see what else is going on this week. Well, I put in my Instagram live. You guys can see that. It's in the it'll be there for today for the next 24 hours. But if you catch this video a little bit later, you'll be able to see it in the prediction section. But again, we have this interesting Pluto Capricorn thing going on with the earthquakes. And I've been looking into this because I love mundane astrology. That's like one of my, I love natal astrology too. So I love like working with people and working with their chart and remediating their chart and just kind of demystifying that and just, digging in people's charts and figuring out like what's going on and how to best support you and shed some light on some things that you want to know about yourself, and also like ways that you can live in more in alignment with your chart. So I love, birth chart readings and natal chart readings. However, I really love mundane astrology, which is, predictive astrology, and looking at some of the things and just how we delineate them for so many different things. And it's just amazing when it's like super literal. And with the earthquake that's happening here in Hawaii in Kilauea, not earthquake, but we had a lava eruption, but there's always a lot of quakes that happen, prior to that. And then there's also an eruption in, it's the Canary Islands, and I forgot the name of their volcano. I think it's Cumbria Vieja, but I'm not sure if that's the name, or maybe it's Cumbra Vieja, I'm not sure. So I'll just say the volcanic eruption that's happening on the Canary Islands right now, and just how it's actually getting a little bit bigger and going out now into the ocean of the Canary Islands, but also Kilauea, Tutupele waking up for that, just really on those points when Mercury was squaring Pluto, and also with Venus now sextiling Pluto. And so it's all written there, so you can look at all of that, but it's always very interesting when those things happen. And I'm glad that nobody obviously on the Big Island is hurt, because it's still in the caldera. It's not like all over the place like it was, I think, in a couple years ago, where it was really doing a lot of property damage. However, on the Canary Islands, there is a lot of property damage. I think most people were evacuated. I don't know if there was a lot of lives lost. So I don't have that information, but I definitely know there's property damage and people's homes are damaged. But I think as of right now, most people are out of the way of the flow, and it's just flowing, into the ocean. And it just really got me thinking a lot about Pluto and like Plutonian things, and Pluto as an archetypal planet, and the archetype of this kind of death, of things sitting under the surface and then rising up, and then just how like there is this, especially when we talk about Pluto and Capricorn, which it is right now, and then Pluto will be in Aquarius, I think in 2014, 2020, 2024, 2025, that's when Pluto transitions into Aquarius, and that's going to bring a whole new type of energy. But right now it's sitting in Capricorn in our place of like structure and discipline and like the earth. Capricorn is an earth sign. So when we have these hard aspects to Pluto, the earth tends to shake and things underneath come up in a very literal sense, like volcano. But then with that, because we know Pluto really signifies a lot of death and rebirth, and I just think about how even though there's a lot of destruction that happens, and hopefully again we don't want lives lost, and we obviously don't want property damage, because that that can feel like a life lost. I mean, people have their whole savings in their homes and their businesses, especially with what happened on the Big Island. People had like farms where they were growing all kinds of fruit, and a lot of people were farmers or just growing other things, or just that's their property. That it's important that people have, that they're not homeless for these type of situations. But it is interesting how with the high level of destruction that happens when we have an eruption wherever it is in the world, that it's also a creation equally, because it's creating new land. ZZ Me 5. I don't even know that's how you pronounce it, but thanks for joining. We're just talking about some astrology stuff as I'm hanging out at the beach. This is my beach live that I do on Fridays, and it's kind of really open as to when I do it. Like, there's no scheduled time. I just like come on and like look at the beach in the background and chat about whatever's going on in my week. So if you'd like to share what was going on in your week, what kind of week you had, you can, or you can just listen to me chat. And I usually, if you missed the earlier parts of this, I save everything and then I upload it on my YouTube channel, and I'll upload some of it too on Instagram. But with destruction, like with this earthquake, with Plutonian things, we also have creation, which is new land. And I saw this beautiful image from the Instagram of Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, where somebody was holding a piece of lava, and I don't know the Hawaiian name for it. I forgot, because it was the first time I had seen it, but they were holding a piece of lava that just shot up out of the volcano yesterday, and the caption said, "This is the newest piece of earth there is right now." And I was just like, that's so beautiful. Like the concept, the idea of that, like this is Earth. Like Earth is like essentially giving birth to itself as it's coming up from underneath the Earth, in the form of lava, and it's shooting up and then it cools down. And this is the newest piece, knowing how old the Earth is, like the Earth has been around for a long time. So just to know that you could just walk there and then you're just looking at like a brand new piece of Earth. And you have that level of destruction, but it's also like recreating, and it's also reforming the land, because the land looks completely different. Now, many years from now, we're going to have, because we know this, like even though everything is destroyed and all the grass is destroyed and the beaches are destroyed, we know like after a certain amount of time and after erosion and after birds drop certain seeds, because there's seeds that grow specifically, that was a little bee that came through. There's seeds that grow specifically or love to grow like in lava, like it'll regrow again, and it will be green again, and it will look completely different, but it won't look at all like how it did before. And so there is this sense of like completely releasing that, the old way, the old structure, the old way you used to get to this place. Like you might not even have access to it anymore because the lava ran through there, but now there's something completely different. And so then it asks the questions to us, like how are we going to interpret that? Are we going to interpret it by saying, oh my gosh, I'm mourning so much what was lost, which we do, because we do mourn things that are lost, right? We do really feel like it hurts when things are not like how they used to be, because we get used to things and become attached to things. But then also there's like something new there, and what does that mean, and how can we renegotiate the new thing? And like Plutonian things, or if you're having a Pluto return, or if you have like Pluto somewhere like that's just angular, that's squaring, or that's opposing, it can be very, very intense. But there are little nuggets of beauty within that, and so I just wanted to kind of share those moments of beauty with you, and that's kind of sort of been my week essentially. We had just some really wonderful conversations. We had a wonderful Clubhouse conversation. If you're not on Clubhouse, coming to our clubs, you absolutely should be, because we talk about the most amazing things, and the group of people that are in there are just, they're amazing. We've just collected a really beautiful group of people, and we just talk and we share and we support each other, and I love it so much. So I'm just grateful for our little like wild Wahine Ohana on Clubhouse, because we're just talking about a lot of amazing things. So we have some for October. I'm excited. So yeah, this is the beginning of October. So I'm excited because Halloween is my favorite. It's my favorite holiday. It just like more than my birthday, not more than my son's birthday. Son, if you're watching, I love your birthday. I have fun on your birthday. But yes, I love Halloween better than Mother's Day even. So yeah, I'm excited, and so I'm going to be doing like a 31 days of Halloween where I share, and I think I'm gonna do it on my stories, or I might do it on Instagram, IGTV. I haven't decided yet, but I definitely want to share like my favorite Halloween horror slash like witchy films, because I always watch a whole bunch during this time, and I just figured like I could do that, like meet the creator, you know, like this is me and these are the things I do, or I could just like let you in on like my favorite like scary movies, and that I think is very revelatory because I think if you know, then you'll probably have like a better inkling of who I am and what are some of the things that I like. So I'm a huge sci-fi fan, I'm a huge horror fan. I think I've mentioned it. I always talk about different movies in those genres whenever I'm talking about astrology, or I'm using, you know, examples of archetypal examples. So so I'm really excited about that and that countdown. I'm also really excited that I'm going to be running a sale for these 31 days of Halloween. So that'll be up. So make sure you look on Instagram, because I'm dropping that tonight at midnight, where I will be doing 15% off of all readings. That would be all birth chart readings. That would be all tarot readings. So if you've been waiting and wanting to get a reading, now is a really wonderful time to do it while this sale is going on. And I'm doing it because Halloween is my favorite time, and it's just a magical time to get a reading too. There's something that's really kinetic about doing readings during this month. It has been that way. I've been doing readings for years now, and just something about October. What was that? I was like, is that a big bird? No, that was a drone. I was like, what is that? Is that a bee? A really big bee. But yeah, there's something just really magical about getting a reading around, you know, in October on Halloween. Sometimes I do readings on Halloween. I might have a few on Halloween. That's like, it's really going to get auspicious then. But I also like to go enjoy and do stuff. I don't know what is even going to be open, because, you know, everything is so different now, but I'm excited about that. So those are two things that are like really, really cool. And like, what is that? Oh no, he's got his drone. His drone was stuck in, his drone, I don't know where he's operating it from, but it was kind of stuck in the palm tree. but it's okay now. It's good now. I want to get a drone. They look so cool. But anyway, I just wanted to say welcome to October and everything that's going to be happening in October, and some of the things that I have, you know, with this sale I'm excited to give to everyone, and then share my favorite movies with you. And I want to hear your favorite movies too. I love horror as a genre. I just love everything about Halloween, I think, because it to me seems, and remember, like I had another business where I was a party entertainer, and I used to, well actually I still do it too, but it's just we've been a little closed due to Miss Rona, but I was face painter and doing henna and balloons and all these kinds of things. So working large events and holiday events is something that like I always did. So much so that like holiday events kind of are like, oh, okay, that's great. Because usually I would be working, and I would kind of celebrate holidays on off days or whatever, because those are big days. So essentially like October all the way through to January, I was just like slammed with work, you know, and also too with this one. But what's interesting to me, and what I love so much about horror, is the fact, and also just like the Halloween time too, is the fact that we get to like dress up and be kind of like our shadow selves. It's a time that we can actually play with the shadow without a lot of judgment from other people, and without really judging ourselves, because it's acceptable, because it's Halloween. So we get to dress up as scary things. We get to kind of sort of have like our alter ego shown. We get to kind of play and see what it would be like to be an evil character, or to scare people, or to watch something that we shouldn't, or to, we feel more comfortable like kind of just playing around in the shadow, which I think is great, because if we're scared of our shadow, then our shadow starts ruling us. And if our shadow rules us, then we're in a place where we're dealing with it from a shame, guilt type of place, and then we bury it, and then that causes so many other things. So I love kind of shining light on the shadow. I love embracing parts of the shadow. I think you can find a lot of power there. I think you have a lot of natural gifts there. But if you're living in fear and shame and all of that of it, then it kind of sort of can be difficult. And so I think like during this time where we're talking also about death, I think that's a thing. Now we've been, you know, due to everything that's been going on for the last 2 years now, or at least 2 years, it'll be going on 2 years I guess next year, but we've been dealing with that a lot. People passing, sickness, all of those types of things, all of these kind of scary things that pop up. And I think like there's so much fear and isolation surrounding it. So I feel like during this time of Halloween and Dia de los Muertos and just all of the different kinds of festivals that kind of celebrate ancestors or ghosts or spirits or people who are passing. And I know Halloween is kind of a very commercial thing right now, and so people have different relationships to it, or Samhain for people who celebrate that. But for me, I look at it as a time to dance with the shadow. I look at it as a time to honor the ancestors and those who have passed, and to kind of just lift open that veil and just be open to all the things that are possible. And I love that. And I feel that I often, have more interactions with with kind of beings or spirits and things like that more around this time. Just the energy, the kinetic energy of it all is here. So I love that. And so I'm excited to share with you some of my favorite, thought-provoking. Some of them are fun, some of them are funny, some of them are deeply disturbing, and some of them are just like weird or artsy and interesting. And these are films that are like not just American films, so they're like from all over the world. And it'll be really interesting. And so hopefully you'll watch some of them and get scared and have fun with that. But anyway, thank you so much for joining today. For everybody that joined, let me know how your week is in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions. Be on the lookout for that sale for Halloween. 15% off of all of my readings and consults. So this is a wonderful time to jump in on it, because around Thanksgiving time and December, I will be rolling out my membership program that I am so excited about. It's been a long time coming, and I've been prepping and planning and organizing it for you all, and I'm so excited to invite everyone to become part of the Wild Wahine in a deeper sense, and really build some ohana here. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful week. Here's some beach. Here's some diamond head for you before we go. Here's some beauty. Yes. There you go. So yeah, enjoy this weekend. Have fun. I'm going to go to the pumpkin patch, and I'm going to also pick some sunflowers. So I'm kicking off October with that, and it's going to be pumpkin spice everything. So be prepared to see it on the gram. Be prepared for some delicious recipes, because it's coming. Lots of cinnamon. Just go ahead and buy your cinnamon, ginger, clove, star anise right now. Just buy it, because I'm going to have a lot of stuff I'm posting that will include all of those things. But thanks everybody so much for joining. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you on the Astro Chat Live. Aloha.